Walk down any British high street in 1995 and you would pass shops that are completely gone today. Not one or two. 7 major chains that millions of us shopped in, week out, for years without a second thought. Vanished, most of them within a decade of each other. Some were killed by the internet. Some were killed by their own owners, deliberately, on purpose. And number 1 employed 27,000 people and was 100 years old when it went, erased from the high street in less than 2 weeks, right in the middle of one of the worst financial crises in living memory. We are going to go through all 7 in order, with exactly what happened to each one. Some of these stories are sad. Some are almost darkly funny. One of them is genuinely one of the most brutal, deliberate decisions in British retail history. A company killing off its own brand entirely on purpose, for reasons that still make people angry today. Let us start with number 7. Number 7. Index turned everyday shopping into a peculiar ritual, yet millions of us loved it. Before the internet, this high street staple had us sitting at wooden desks, flipping through massive laminated catalogues and scribbling 6-digit codes with tiny pencils. You handed your paper slip to a clerk, then waited patiently for your boxed goods to travel down from a hidden stockroom. Owned by Littlewoods, the chain peaked at 126 UK stores, but it was constantly outpaced by Argos, which ran the same catalogue concept with lower prices, better out-of-town locations, and sharper logistics. In 2005, the owners closed the business for good, eliminating 3,200 jobs. Just like that, the counters, the laminated pages, and those familiar stubby pencils vanished. Number 6. Tandy was the absolute go-to for Britain's tech tinkerers, long before the internet made sourcing obscure parts easy. If you needed a specific length of speaker cable, a soldering iron, a niche resistor, or a do-it-yourself radio kit, this was the only place to go. At its height, the blue and white storefronts of this Radio Shack equivalent occupied 270 high streets. Yet its end was an abrupt erasure rather than a slow, painful decline. In January 1999, Carphone Warehouse bought the entire loss-making chain in a single transaction. Virtually overnight, the soldering irons and component drawers were swept away to make room for the booming mobile phone market. The Tandy name was simply switched off, leaving loyal hobbyists stranded without a proper farewell. Number 5. Rumbelows. For anyone who watched British football in the early 90s, this name is permanently preserved in a very specific kind of nostalgia. The Rumbelows Cup, which sponsored the League Cup from 1990 to 1992, became legendary football trivia. Yet on the actual high street, Rumbelows was a serious electrical giant, fighting Currys and Comet for dominance over our living rooms. Inside, the shelves were packed with bulky cathode ray televisions, twin-tub washing machines, top-loading VCRS and towering hi-fi systems. But by 1995, those rivals used their massive buying power and aggressive television advertising campaigns to squeeze Rumbelows out of the market. Thorn, the parent company, abruptly pulled the plug, closing all 285 shops and ending 3,000 careers. Today, it exists purely as a pub quiz answer, a retail empire entirely replaced by memory. Number 4. Our price. Its disappearance carries a sharper moral sting than straightforward market decline, because this was an inside job. Founded on Finchley Road in 1971, the chain grew to over 300 stores. For a generation, it was the absolute heart of the weekend, the sacred Saturday ritual of browsing racks, discovering new bands, and buying CD singles. But its fate was sealed by corporate owners, not changing technology. W.H. Smith, which owned Our Price, entered a partnership with Virgin Megastores. In a calculated move, giant Virgin outlets were opened directly beside smaller Our Price shops. The owners backed the flashy megastores while letting Our Price wither, starved of investment. By 2004, the remaining shops were quietly shut down for good. This was years before streaming platforms took over. It wasn't internet disruption that killed Our Price. It was sacrificed by its own masters. Number 3. C&A. This is the most unsettling disappearance on our list, because the business itself never actually failed. For generations, C&A was a high street giant for affordable fashion, occupying prime real estate like London's Oxford Street since 1922. Yet, on a Thursday morning in May 2001, the final UK transaction in Bradford marked the end of an era. There was no bankruptcy, no buyout, and no rescue bid. Instead, the European parent company made a coordinated board-level decision that the British market was no longer worth the investment. While a rising Primark snapped up 6 of the vacated buildings, including Lewisham, C and A, simply retreated to the continent. Today, it remains a retail powerhouse with over 1,200 thriving stores across Germany, France and the Netherlands, leaving British shoppers with the chilling realization that a healthy brand can simply choose to leave. Number 2. Blockbuster. Long before algorithms decided what we watched, Friday nights had a physical destination. With over 500 stores across the UK, visiting this blue and yellow giant was a weekly family ritual. The experience was tactile and social, wandering the aisles, debating which chunky plastic VHS case or DVD to hire, and pleading with parents for a tub of popcorn or carton of ice cream at the counter. But by December 2013, the shutters came down for the final time. Netflix, which landed in the UK in 2012, did more than outcompete Blockbuster. It completely dismantled the very habit of physical rental. The entire ritual of the video run was erased in a short space of time. Today, only a single privately owned branch survives in Bend, Oregon, operating as a living museum for tourists seeking a hit of 1990s nostalgia. And finally, in first place, no other loss combines cultural weight, human cost, and the sheer speed of collapse like Woolworths. First opening its doors on Church Street in Liverpool on the 5th of November, 1909, Woolies became the very heart of British family life. It was a place of shared rituals, filling paper bags with pick and mix, buying Ladybird children's clothes, grabbing the latest chart CDs, and rushing through the doors for last-minute Christmas shopping. It felt as permanent as the high street itself. At its peak, the business ran a massive network of 807 stores, employing 27,000 people. Yet behind the scenes, heavy financial trouble was quietly building long before the 2008 credit crunch delivered the fatal blow. That summer, critical credit insurers abruptly withdrew supply chain insurance, triggering a cash flow crisis that pushed the century-old giant into administration. What followed was a brutal, heartbreaking end. The first closures began on the 27th of December, 2008, with bargain hunters stripping the shelves bare under 90% discounts. By the 6th of January, 2009, all 807 stores were gone. It was a staggering 11-day wipeout that erased 27,000 jobs and left empty, cavernous shells in nearly every town in the country. The brand briefly survived online before vanishing entirely in 2015, but the physical loss was irreplaceable. Which of these lost high street giants do you miss the most? And did you ever experience the magic of a Woolworths pick and mix? Subscribe for more British retail history. Together, these 7 giants prove that retail permanence is an illusion. The shops that shaped our daily rituals were remarkably fragile, surviving now only in our memories. Which vanished store do you miss most? And did you ever visit Woolworths? Please subscribe for more high street history.